I pushed my suitcase through the door and whispered, "Emily, I'm home early." My voice felt small in the heavy silence. I waited, listening. Nothing answered me. I called again, louder this time, but the house stayed still, like it was hiding something from me. I stepped into the living room and stared at the half-buttoned dress lying across the couch. "Why is this here?" I muttered. It wasn't hers from this morning. I picked it up and smelled a faint trace of cologne that definitely wasn't mine. What the hell? My hands tightened around the fabric, and a sick feeling grew in my stomach. "Emily," I shouted, walking down the hall. My heart thumped hard as I pushed open the bedroom door. She spun around fast, clutching a small silver necklace around her neck. You're home early," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "What's that?" I asked, pointing at the necklace. My chest felt tight. "I've never seen it before. It's just something I bought," she said quickly. Too quickly. "Bought? When?" I stepped closer, watching her fingers nervously trace the pendant. "Emily, look at me and say it again." "I told you," she whispered. Her eyes darted away. "No," I said, shaking my head. "You're lying. I can hear it." "Where did you get it?" She swallowed hard. I don't want to fight right now, then tell me the truth." My voice cracked, despite how hard I tried to hold myself together. "Who gave it to you?" "No one gave it to me," she said, but her body froze, and that freeze told me everything. "Emily," I said softly, "don't do this to me. Please, just tell me the truth." She backed up against the wall. "Why are you being like this?" "Because I walked in and found your dress on the couch smelling like some other man. Because you're standing here wearing jewelry I've never seen. Because you can't even look me in the eyes." I stepped forward. "So tell me who bought it." She let out a shaky breath. "Let's talk tomorrow, okay?" "No," I whispered. "It needs to be now." Her eyes filled with fear. "I don't want to hurt you. You already are." She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them slowly. "It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think," I said. "Just say his name. I can't." "You can," I said firmly. "You just don't want to." She pressed her hand to her forehead. "You're twisting everything." "I'm asking for honesty," I replied. "Why is that suddenly impossible for you?" "Because you'll overreact." "Overreact?" I repeated, the word hitting me like a slap. "Emily, I've trusted you with everything. My life, my heart. And you're telling me I'm overreacting because I want to know who was here?" "No one was here." "Then where did the cologne come from?" "The dress. The necklace." I stared at her, waiting. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She just stood there, frozen. "That's it," I whispered. "That pause. That silence. That's the truth, isn't it?" Her lips trembled. "Please stop, Emily," I said, feeling the weight of something inside me break. "You promised me loyalty. You swore it to me." "I know," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. "I didn't want this to happen." I stepped back, feeling numb. "Someone else bought it for you," I said quietly. "Someone you were with. Tonight." She covered her face and sobbed. She didn't deny it. I felt my heart crack open, but my voice stayed calm. "Who is he?" She shook her head, crying harder. "That's all I need to know," I said, turning toward the door. "Please," she cried out. "Don't walk away." But I already had. I stopped in the doorway and said, "If you wanted me to stay, you should have told me the truth before I had to find it like this." She reached out, but I stepped away. "Emily, I can't fix something you already broke." She whispered my name like it was a last hope, but I couldn't answer. Inside, I felt a strange mix of anger and heartbreak twisting together. "We'll talk tomorrow," I said softly. "Maybe." When I walked into the room, Emily flinched like she'd been caught stealing air. The necklace glinted in her hand, small but bright enough to burn through me. I pointed at it and said, "Where did you get that?" She hid it behind her back so fast it almost slipped from her fingers. "It's nothing," she whispered. "Nothing?" I stepped closer. "Then show me." Her eyes darted away. I don't want to talk about it." "You don't have a choice," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. "Who gave it to you?" Emily swallowed hard. Her breathing quickened, and her fingers shook so badly I could hear the chain rattling against her palm. "Please don't do this right now." "I'm already doing it," I said. "Tell me." She shook her head, looking everywhere except at me. "It's just an old thing," someone returned. "It doesn't matter," I laughed, but it came out bitter. "Then say the name." "Ah!" She froze. The silence that followed felt thick enough to choke on. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "Emily, say the name." She trembled, her lips parting like the word wanted to come out but couldn't. I shouldn't have kept it. She finally whispered, "That's not the answer," I said. "Whose necklace is that?" More silence. More shaking. She covered her mouth with her hand as if she could hide the truth behind her fingers. "You're scaring me," she whispered. "I'm scaring you." I pressed a hand to my chest because the heat burning there felt unbearable. "Do you have any idea what I felt the moment I saw that thing?" She closed her eyes. "I didn't want you to find out." "Find out what?" I asked. "That you've been lying? That you kept something from someone you swore meant nothing?" Emily's breath hitched. Her shoulders sagged as if she finally understood she had no way out. "Please don't make me say it," she whispered. "I need the truth," I said. "Not excuses. Not half answers. The name, Emily. Say it." Her eyes finally met mine, full of fear of losing me, fear of facing what she'd done, maybe fear of herself. Her voice cracked as she whispered, barely audible, "Ryan." My stomach twisted so hard I thought I'd collapse. "Ryan who?" She covered her face, but the words slipped out anyway. "Ryan Hale." Felt like someone had punched the air out of my lungs. "You're kidding," I said, though every inch of me knew she wasn't. "He reached out." She whispered, "I didn't expect you once told me he was dangerous for your heart, remember?" My voice shook. "You said he was the kind of person you had to stay away from." "I know," she said, stepping toward me. "But it just don't," I croaked. "Don't say it just happened. Don't give me that line." Her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "Every word you're saying right now," I said, pointing at her, "feels like a knife." She held the necklace in both hands now, staring at it like it was suddenly poison. I should have thrown it away. "But you didn't," I said. "You kept it. You hid it. Why?" "I don't know," she whispered. I was confused. I shook my head violently. "Confused about what? About us? About him?" "No," she said, grabbing my arm. "Not about us." "Then why is his necklace in your hand?" She let go immediately, her fingers curling into fists. It just reminded me of a time when things were easier. Before everything got heavy between us. "So you kept a piece of him to feel lighter?" I whispered, "That's not what I meant." "But that's what you did." She broke then, her voice, her composure, everything. "I swear I'm not cheating. I swear I didn't meet him." I didn't answer. I couldn't. My chest felt tight, my vision blurry at the edges. And I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears like it wanted to escape me. I just needed to feel something familiar. She whispered, "Not someone, something." I stepped back. "I can't look at you right now." "Please," she said, reaching for me again. "Don't walk away." I moved past her, grabbed a pillow from the bedroom, and headed for the couch. She followed me, her voice trembling. "You're scaring me. Please talk to me." I lay down, staring at the ceiling. "I'm trying not to break," I whispered. "I didn't mean to lie." "But you did, I'm sorry." I closed my eyes. "Good night, Emily." She stayed beside the couch, whispering my name like it could pull me back, but I felt too broken to answer. I said, "I need space, Emily. I need time to breathe." She begged me not to shut her out, yet every part of me felt shattered. I whispered, "I don't even know who I am to you now." I trembled. I couldn't breathe as I stared at Emily's sleeping face, her phone lying inches from her hand. "If you're innocent," I whispered to myself, "why am I terrified to look?" My fingers trembled anyway. I picked up the phone, unlocked it with the code she once said I could use any time, and opened her messages. The moment Ryan's name appeared, my stomach dropped. "Please let it be harmless," I muttered, tapping the chat. It wasn't. The first message hit me like a punch. I miss your voice. I scrolled and my chest tightened. Emily, what is this? I breathed. Voice notes, photos, messages filled with words she never used with me anymore. You told him you couldn't stop thinking about him? I whispered, my voice cracking. Every scroll felt like another cut. So the meetings weren't accidental. You've planned them. My hand shook harder. Hotel rooms? You lied to my face. Pressed the phone to my forehead, trying not to break. I read the message about the necklace. Her calling it a memory he gave her. You wore it proudly in front of me, I said, choking on the words. You didn't even hesitate. Kept reading, each line dragging another piece of me away. Weeks of secrets. Weeks of betrayal. Weeks where she looked me in the eyes and said she loved me. Why? I whispered. Why wasn't I enough? The floor creaked. Emily shifted awake. Hey, you're up early, she mumbled, her voice soft, unaware. I didn't respond. I couldn't. She blinked at my clenched hand holding her phone. What? What are you doing with that? Reading everything you never intended me to see? I said, my voice low. Her eyes widened. You went through my phone? I went through my life, I snapped. And I found out it was a lie. It's not a lie, she insisted, sitting up quickly. You're overreacting. Overreacting, I repeated, almost laughing. You sent him pictures. You sent him your heart. You met him in hotels? It wasn't like that, she said, wiping tears with shaking hands. Ryan and I, it just got complicated. Complicated? I held up the phone. You told him you wished you'd met him before me. She covered her mouth, tears spilling. I didn't mean it like that. Stop, I said, stepping back as she reached for me. Don't come near me right now. Please listen, she cried. I didn't want to hurt you. Shh, but you did, I said. You chose him. Over and over. He understood things, she whispered. Things I didn't know how to tell you, so you told him instead. She sobbed, and I stared at her blankly, unable to feel anything but numbness. Give me the phone, she pleaded. Please. Why? I asked. So you can hide the parts I haven't seen yet. No, she said. Because you're scaring me. I looked down at the phone one last time, at the thread that ruined everything, then hurled it onto the floor. It shattered loudly, pieces scattering. Emily screamed, Why would you do that? Because it's the only thing I can break without destroying myself. I said, my voice hollow. She knelt to pick up the pieces, crying uncontrollably. I watched her, wondering how this was the same woman I fought to love. We can fix this, she begged. We can talk. Not tonight, I whispered. Maybe not ever. Her sobs grew louder, but I walked past her, unable to look back. I lay on the couch, staring at the empty ceiling, feeling nothing but the echo of her messages burning through me. Sleep never came. Only the realization that I'd lost her long before I touched her phone. I closed my eyes, hoping the darkness would quiet the storm inside me. But the images of their messages kept flashing behind my eyelids, each one sharper than the last. Emily's voice echoed faintly from the bedroom, a mix of sobs and broken apologies, but I couldn't move. I couldn't answer. All I felt was a hollow ache spreading through my chest, heavy and suffocating. I wondered how many nights she had typed those words while I slept beside her, blind and trusting. Just two, I didn't expect the world to explode the way it did after that night. The morning wasn't even quiet before Emily stormed into the living room saying, Mia needs to know what's happening. I stared at her, exhausted. Why? So you can tell her I'm the villain? She avoided my eyes. I just need someone to talk to. Then tell her the truth, I said. All of it. She didn't answer. Moments later, I heard her on the phone whispering. He snapped. He went through my phone. I didn't know what to do. I clenched my jaw. Really, Emily? That's the version you're going with? She turned away. You're twisting it, I said. You cheated. That's what happened. She flinched, but didn't correct herself to Mia. My phone buzzed. Daniel called instantly. Bro, what the hell happened? Mia just texted me. Course she did, I muttered. She's telling everyone her side. Tell me yours, he said firmly. So I told him. Every detail. Every message. Every lie. His voice shook with anger. I swear, if I see her or that guy, Daniel, don't, I said. I'm already falling apart. He breathed heavily. You don't deserve this. None of it. Later, when I stepped outside for air, my neighbor approached. Heard you two arguing. You should fix it like a man. Stared at him, stunned. What does that even mean? He shrugged. Women make mistakes. Don't break your home over it. You have no idea what she did, I said. Still, he replied, walking away. I felt the world closing in by afternoon. Emily's sister Grace arrived. She hugged Emily quickly before pulling me aside. I need to talk to you alone. My stomach tightened. What now? She sighed. I need to be honest. I suspected something. I saw her acting strange weeks ago. Heat rushed through my chest. And you said nothing? Grace swallowed hard. I didn't want to ruin your marriage. I hoped it was just a phase. A phase, I whispered. She met him in hotels. Grace closed her eyes. I'm sorry. I should have spoken up. Her apology felt heavy, but useless. The betrayal spread deeper. When I walked back in, Emily looked at me nervously. What did she say? Things you should have told me, I replied. Things you hid. I wasn't hiding everything, she insisted. It was just a moment of weakness. My voice cracked. Weakness doesn't last weeks. I didn't love him, she said softly. Then why all the secrets? She blinked rapidly. I was confused. You weren't confused, I said. You were invested. Daniel showed up at the door without warning. I'm not leaving you alone in this mess, he said. Emily glared. You told him? Of course I told him, I said. He's my friend. He's mine, she snapped. She understands me. She only knows the version you fed her, I replied. Daniel folded his arms. Emily, you can't expect sympathy when you're rewriting everything. She glared at him. This isn't your marriage. Exactly, I said. And that's why your excuses don't change what you did. Emily grabbed my arm. Please don't pull away from me. I need space. But I'm trying to fix it, she insisted. By telling everyone I overreacted? She opened her mouth, but no words came. I'm drowning, I said quietly. And every time you justify what you did, you push me under again. She covered her face. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't erase the messages, I said. Or the lies. Grace approached carefully. Maybe giving him room is the best thing, she told Emily. Daniel nodded beside me. Emily shook her head desperately. I can't lose him. You already broke me, I whispered. She reached out again, but I stepped away. I need space, Emily. Real space. She sobbed softly. The room felt crowded despite all the people standing there. Voices kept swirling, advice, judgments, opinions, all of it empty. I felt alone, even with everyone around me. I left the room, hearing Emily say behind me, it was just weakness. I whispered to myself. Weakness shouldn't feel like betrayal. I closed my eyes, wishing silence could wash away everything she shattered. I was still replaying Emily's tears when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something in my gut told me to answer. The second I heard his voice, my breath stopped. So you're finally picking up, Ryan said, sounding calm, like he had every right to call me. I've been trying to reach you. I stepped outside, gripping the railing. Why are you calling me? To talk like adults, he replied. And to tell you not to make things harder for Emily. She's going through a lot. I laughed bitterly. She's going through a lot? She's the one who cheated on me. You weren't giving her what she needed, he said without hesitation. She was unhappy for a long time. My chest tightened. And you think you know that? Because she cried in your arms? She didn't have to cry, he said. I could see it. You stopped understanding her. You don't know anything about my marriage. I know enough, he said. And I know you're spiraling. Don't drag her down with you. His tone flipped something inside me. You're lecturing me about ruining her life when you're the man she cheated with? She didn't cheat, he said. She found comfort. There's a difference. I clenched my jaw. Stay away from us. He chuckled softly. It's not your decision anymore. That sentence hit me harder than any insult. What did you just say? You heard me, he said. She's choosing what makes her feel alive. You should accept it. I won't accept anything that destroys my marriage. You already destroyed it, he said. You just didn't notice until now. My hands shook, but my voice stayed steady. If you call me again, I'll report you. You won't, he said. You're too busy pretending you still have control. I ended the call before I said something I couldn't take back. For a moment, I just stood there, staring at the sky, feeling something cold spread through me. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't fear. It was a hard, sharp anger I'd never felt before. When I walked back inside, Emily looked up from the table. Who was that? Ryan, I said. Her face drained of color. What did he say? What do you think he said? I asked. He told me not to ruin your feelings. He told me you were unhappy with me. She covered her mouth. I didn't tell him to call you. I swear. He speaks like he owns you, I said. Why is that? He doesn't, she whispered. He's just emotional. Emotional doesn't sound like that, I said. Emotional people apologize. He warned me. She stood up quickly. I'll talk to him. I'll tell him to stop. I shook my head. Don't. I'm done trying to make sense of your choices. Please don't walk away, she whispered. I'm not walking away, I said. But I'm not staying blind either. She reached for me, but I stepped back. I need space. Space for what? She asked, her voice breaking. For myself, I said. For my sanity? For the part of me you didn't break. She started crying again. I made a mistake. You didn't make one mistake, I said softly. You made many. She sank into a chair. I didn't want this, but you chose it, I replied. Every time you texted him? Every time you met him? I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't answer. For the first time, her words didn't hurt, they felt empty. When I walked to the bedroom to pack a small bag, she followed me to the door, but didn't step inside. Where will you go? I don't know yet, I said. But somewhere I can breathe. Can we still talk? She asked. Only when I'm ready, I said. And as I left the house, I felt something shift inside me, not hope, not pain, but the first steps of becoming someone who wouldn't be stepped on again. I didn't know what tomorrow would look like, but I knew I couldn't keep living in the shadow of their choices. I needed strength and distance. Maybe I would break. Maybe I would rise. But the path belonged to me alone from now. Packing my things felt like peeling pieces of myself off the walls. I kept whispering, just keep moving, even as my hands shook. Every drawer I opened carried a memory I no longer wanted to hold. When Emily tried approaching me again, stepped back instinctively in that fragile moment, she stood there whispering my name. But I couldn't let her voice touch me anymore. Please, just talk to me, she said, like the truth didn't already scorch every corner of my chest. I told her I had nothing left to say, and she lowered her eyes slowly that evening. I went back to folding clothes, pretending my heart wasn't collapsing under the weight of her silence. My thoughts kept looping around the same question. How did we get here? When my phone buzzed, I stared at Liam's name. Grateful someone still saw me without judgment or pity that day. Man, you need a place? Liam asked. His voice carried concern instead of pity, and I felt something inside me loosen. I told him I couldn't stay in this house anymore, not with Emily's confession echoing in every room. He said his couch was mine for however long I needed. I thanked him, but my voice cracked halfway through. After the call, I sat on the edge of the bed Emily and I once shared, staring at the creases in the sheets. I slept with him more than once, she had said earlier. Those words kept slicing through me relentlessly. When she finally stepped into the doorway that evening, her face looked like she had been carrying guilt for years. I didn't mean to hurt you this deeply, she whispered. I let out a dry laugh. You didn't stop, Emily, I said. You just stopped hiding. She flinched at that. She sat on the floor across from me. Do you hate me? She asked. I stared at her trembling hands. I don't even know what I feel anymore, I said. Hate takes energy. I'm exhausted. She reached toward me, but I leaned back, refusing to let her touch rewrite anything. Chloe called later that night, her voice soft but firm. "You don't deserve this chaos," she said. "You've been hurting for months and still tried to hold everything together." I closed my eyes as she spoke. Her words didn't fix anything, but they reminded me I wasn't completely alone tonight as I kept packing. I whispered to myself that I wasn't running, I was choosing to survive. Every shirt, every book, every meaningless object felt like a goodbye I'd never prepared for. I kept hearing Ryan's smug voice in my head, acting like he understood my marriage better than I did. It made something burn inside me. Not anger alone, something sharper. "I won't be the broken one anymore," I said under my breath. When Emily appeared again, wiping her eyes, she asked, "Where will you go?" I told her it didn't matter. What mattered was that I wasn't staying here tonight. She pressed her forehead to the wall and whispered, "I'm losing you." I didn't respond. I just kept folding clothes that no longer smelled like home. My mind felt strangely calm, like the storm had finally burned itself out. I was tired of bleeding for someone who never noticed me. Liam texted that he'd be outside in 10 minutes. I grabbed my bag and took one last look around the room. Emily whispered, "Please don't go like this." I told her the truth. "I don't know who I am here anymore." She broke down, but I walked past her quietly. Outside, the air felt colder than I expected. Liam opened the door and said, "You okay?" I shook my head. "Not yet," I said, "but I will be." As we drove away, I watched the house disappear behind us. For the first time, I felt something like direction inside me, and with that small spark, realized I wasn't just leaving a marriage, I was reclaiming myself. The pain still throbbed, but it no longer controlled my steps. "I'll heal," I whispered to the window. I didn't know when, but I knew I would, and that belief was enough tonight too. I sat on Liam's couch the next morning, staring at the ceiling while my phone buzzed nonstop. I didn't answer. I just whispered, "Let it all fall apart." I didn't feel cruel. I just finally felt detached. When Chloe called, I picked up. She said, "You sound calmer." I told her I felt emptied out. She said she was proud of me for holding together. Later, Emily's voice filled my voicemail. "Everything's going wrong," she cried. "I can't focus. I can't breathe. Please talk to me." Listened once, then deleted it. I said softly, "This isn't my burden anymore." Around noon, Liam looked over and said, "You eating?" I shrugged. He tossed me a protein bar and said, "Start somewhere." I ate it slowly, realizing I hadn't eaten properly in days. I said, "I need to get my life back." He nodded and told me he'd drive me to the gym if I wanted. At the gym, I felt awkward, like someone borrowing a body they didn't know how to move. But I pushed through every rep. I whispered, "Just breathe," as sweat dripped down my arms. Chloe texted asking how I was. I said, "Trying," she replied, "Trying is enough." That evening, news spread fast. Shine's girlfriend, Isabella, had found out about the affair. She confronted him publicly. Someone recorded her shouting, "How long have you been lying?" Ryan tried to calm her, but she kept exposing him, her voice shaking with rage. I watched the clip once. I didn't smile, but I felt something loosen inside me. Emily called again, sobbing harder. "Ryan's life is exploding." My boss yelled at me. "Everything is collapsing." I held the phone but didn't answer. I just listened to her meltdown in silence before hanging up. I whispered, "Actions have consequences." Liam glanced at me. "You okay?" he asked. I said, for the first time, "Maybe." He clapped my shoulder lightly. The next morning, I woke up after 8 full hours of sleep, something I hadn't felt in months. I made myself eggs. I stretched. I felt the faint shape of a life returning. Chloe saw me at work and said, "You look different." I said I just slept. She smiled softly and said, "No, it's more than that." During lunch, she asked gently, "Does watching them fall apart help?" I hesitated, then said, "It doesn't fix anything, but it reminds me I wasn't crazy." She nodded and said, "You are never the problem." That afternoon, Emily texted me a long message. "I'm sorry. I messed up everything. Please don't give up on us." I stared at it and finally typed back, "I need space." She responded instantly. I'll wait. I didn't promise anything. I went back to the gym that evening. This time, I moved with more certainty. As I lifted, I whispered, I'm still here. When I got home, Liam asked how it went. I said, better. He grinned and said, told you. Later, Chloe called. I'm proud of you, she said again. Her voice felt steady, grounding. I closed my eyes and said, thank you. I'm trying to find strength, she replied. You're already walking toward it. That night, I sat alone by the window, watching the city lights flicker. Emily and Ryan were dealing with the storms they created, and for once, I wasn't drowning with them. I whispered to myself, I'm starting over. I thought about everything I had lost, but also everything I could still build. I said aloud, maybe this pain is shaping me into someone stronger. The room felt lighter as I breathed slowly. I imagined a future where my worth wasn't tied to someone else's choices, where my heart didn't bend until it broke. I whispered I deserve peace, saying it felt strange, but real. I leaned back, letting the silence settle around me. The world outside kept moving, and for the first time, I felt ready to move with it, step by careful step. Strength wasn't loud or dramatic. It was this quiet determination rising inside me, telling me I wasn't done. I wasn't defeated. I was rebuilding. I would rise again soon. I opened the door before I even realized I was moving. And there she was, Mimily eyes swollen, breathing like she had run here from across the city. She whispered, please, I need to talk. I stepped back just enough to let her in, not enough to make it feel like an invitation. She looked around Liam's living room and said, so this is where you've been hiding. I told her I'm not hiding. I'm healing. She covered her face and sobbed. I messed everything up. I stood still, feeling strangely calm. She asked, can we sit? I shook my head. Just say what you came to say. She pressed her hands together and said, Ryan used me. He never cared. I feel empty without you. I made the worst mistake of my life. I felt the words hit me, but not like before. I told her, you didn't just make a mistake. You made choices. She stepped closer. I was confused. I was hurting, I said. So you chose him over me? She didn't answer. Her silence felt like an admission. I whispered, you already broke everything. She cried harder. Don't say that. Please don't give up on us. I replied, you gave up first. She grabbed my arm begging, can't we try again? Just one more chance? I'll do anything. I pulled my arm back and said, I don't want revenge anymore. I want freedom. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. You sound so cold, she said. I shook my head. No, just honest. She said, I still love you. I answered, then why didn't you act like it? She collapsed onto the couch. I thought Ryan cared. I thought he understood me. I said, you thought wrong? She whispered, I know. He laughed at me when everything came out. He said I was stupid for believing him. I didn't comfort her. I simply said, that's not my pain to fix. She looked up with trembling hands. Can't you forgive me? I took a deep breath. Forgiveness isn't the problem. It's trust. And I don't have any left, she whispered. But we have memories. I closed my eyes. And you turned them into weapons. She stood and moved toward me slowly. Let me show you I can change. I took a step back. I'm not the man who begs for your loyalty anymore. She flinched like the word stabbed her. So this is it? She asked. You're done? I pointed to the envelope on the table. The divorce papers are ready. She walked over with shaking fingers. Can we talk about this? I said, we've talked enough. She opened the envelope, and her tears fell onto the papers. You really want this? I nodded. I need this. She held the pen with trembling hands. I can't believe I destroyed us, she whispered. I said, I can. She signed her part, trying to steady her breathing. Please don't walk away, she begged. I took the pen, added my signature, and said, I'm not walking away from you. I'm walking toward myself. She reached out to hug me, and when her arms wrapped around me, I stood still. I didn't hug back. I felt nothing, no anger, no longing, just clarity. She cried into my shoulder. Don't leave me alone. I said softly. You weren't alone. You just didn't choose me. I stepped back as she collapsed onto the couch again. Please, she whispered, but I was already moving toward the door. I looked back once. She was shaking, broken in a way I couldn't fix. I whispered, goodbye, and walked out. The hallway felt brighter than the room I left behind. I didn't collapse. I didn't break. I didn't feel lost. I felt free. For the first time since everything began, I breathed without pain. I whispered to myself, this is the life I choose now. As I stepped outside, the cool air brushed against my skin like a silent reminder that endings can also be beginnings. I walked slowly, letting each breath settle deeper into me. I wasn't sure where I was heading next, but for once, the uncertainty didn't terrify me. It felt like possibility. Finally, when I woke up alone in my new apartment, the silence felt heavier than the air, but not hostile. I whispered to myself, all right. Day 1. Saying it out loud made it real. I got ready for my therapy session, telling my reflection, no more pretending. When I sat on the therapist's couch, she asked, how are you feeling this week? I answered like I'm learning how to breathe again. She nodded gently. Tell me what changed. I sighed. I left the marriage behind. I finally signed the papers. She leaned forward. And what did that bring up for you? Relief, I said. And fear. And something like clarity, she asked. Clarity about what? That I wasn't living for myself, I said. I was living to keep something broken standing. She smiled softly. That's a powerful realization. I shrugged. It's messy. But honest? She asked. What do you want for yourself now? I thought for a moment. I want to be someone I can live with. Someone I don't abandon. Her words were calm. Then keep choosing that version of you. After therapy, I walked home, whispering replayed lines to myself. Choose me. Choose me. It felt strange, almost like giving instructions to a wounded part of me. At work, Chloe noticed the change. She walked up to my desk and asked, You okay? You look lighter, I said. I'm trying to be. She smiled. Good. I was worried you'd shut down. Almost did, I admitted. But I'm done letting pain own me. She nodded. That's strength, I told her. Thanks for checking on me. She shook her head. Friends do that. And you deserve people who actually show up. Her words settled somewhere deep inside me. Not romantic. Just real. Later that day, Daniel called. Bro, I heard everything's official now. Yeah, I said. Signed and done. He exhaled loudly. I'm proud of you. Seriously, you chose yourself when it mattered. I leaned back in my chair, felt like the world was ending. And now? He asked. Feels like it's beginning again. He laughed. That's what I like to hear. Thanks for being in my corner, I said. Always, he replied. Just keep going. Don't slip back into old guilt. I won't, I said. I'm done carrying what isn't mine. When evening came, I walked into my small living room and stared at the unopened box I'd been avoiding since the day I left the house. I muttered, maybe today. My hands shook as I pulled it onto my lap. I opened the lid slowly. The first thing I saw was the wedding ring. I picked it up and whispered, You meant everything once. Setting it aside, I pulled out a stack of old photos. Millie and me smiling, kissing, holding each other like nothing could break us. I whispered. We didn't know what was coming. My throat tightened. There were also notes, little messages Emily used to write. You're my forever, one said. Another read, Promise me you'll never give up on us. I didn't, I whispered. You did. I didn't feel anger. Not anymore. Just a soft ache that felt oddly gentle. I placed all the items in front of me and said, It's time. I let myself breathe through every memory instead of running from them. Then it happened. Tears fell. Not sharp, not burning, just warm. I whispered, I'm not crying for what I lost. I'm crying because I'm finally letting it go. I felt my chest loosen, as if someone had taken a heavy chain off my ribs. I cried harder, letting everything spill out, grief, love, exhaustion, relief, when the tears slowed. I whispered, "The past doesn't own me anymore," saying it felt like opening a door. I stood up slowly and placed everything back inside the box. Not as wounds, but as history. I walked to the window, looked out at the city lights and said, "I'm becoming someone I can live with." And for the first time, I believed it. I stared at the quiet morning light slipping through my window when Chloe called and said, "Are you awake? You sound different." "I feel different," I said, leaning back in my chair. "It's been months. Ryan lost his job last week. Emily moved back in with her parents. And I thought I'd feel something. Relief, maybe. Justice. But there's nothing." "No anger?" she asked softly. "I'm tired of being angry," I murmured. "Their downfall doesn't heal anything. Closure isn't revenge. It's finally breathing without waiting for an apology." Chloe sighed. "Then maybe you're ready to start living again." "I think I am." I tapped the old notebook on my desk. "I wrote something last night. First time since everything you wrote." Her voice brightened immediately. "That's huge." "What did you write?" "A page. A messy one. But it felt like mine." I laughed under my breath. I forgot what it felt like to hear my own voice without their echoes in it. "Read it to me," she said. "I can't. Not yet. But one day maybe." I hesitated. "Do you really think anyone would want to hear a story like this?" "Are you kidding?" she said. "People need to hear stories like yours. Someone out there is going through the same pain, the same betrayal, the same fight to rediscover themselves. Your voice could help them." "I'm not ready to be anyone's inspiration," I said quietly. "You don't have to be. Just be honest. That's enough." I closed my eyes, letting her words settle. "Honest," I repeated. "Yeah, I can do that," she hummed. "So what are you going to do today?" "I'm thinking of taking a walk. Somewhere quiet." "Good," she said warmly. "You deserve a peaceful day. Call me later?" "I will." I hung up and grabbed my jacket, feeling a strange calm I hadn't felt in months. Not victory. Not relief. Something gentler. By sunset, I found myself walking along the beach. The waves brushing the sand like they were trying to speak in their own quiet language. The sky burned orange and gold, reflected in the water like a promise I had once tried to chase in someone else's hands. Now it felt different, like it belonged to me. The wind hit my face, cool and soft, and I whispered the words forming in my chest I once begged for loyalty. Now I choose myself. For the first time since the heartbreak, the betrayal, the loneliness, and the endless nights questioning my worth, I felt whole.